Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck Barbecue Lab, East Crossroads in Benson, North Carolina. Here today in the RBL studios to show you guys how to make beef ribs at home, just like we do at the lab. Before we get into that though, first thing I'd love for you to do, go down here and like this video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to this channel, click on that bell so you're notified exactly when videos like these come out on YouTube. Leave us your comments about what you thought about this video and some suggestions as to what you would like to see us do in the future. We truly do appreciate your feedback. So with that being said, I'd like to get into showing you guys how to cook these beef ribs at home like we do at the lab. The beef rib we have here is called a short plate. It's basically a group of the, you have bones in the beef ribs itself that run from like 1 to 15. These right here, somewhere between 5 and 12 are where these plate ribs are found. If you can imagine, they're kind of like up in the center right here. Directly above them is where the ribeye is at. So this muscle is a muscle on the cow that doesn't do a whole lot of work. It moves and stuff like that. But what that means to us is that it doesn't mean that cows are lazy or this is the lazy cow muscle or whatever. What it means to us is that normally this is where we find the most tender and fattier part of the animal, the cow. And these ribs are located, like I said, underneath the most desirable cuts, the tenderloins and loins on the cow. So this is what we cook at the lab. You can cook chuck ribs at home. The chuck rib is somewhere basically like right here towards the shoulder of the cow. They're a bit meatier, a bit thicker. They've got great flavor, not as tender. These are the ones we prefer. There's some other ribs you'll see that they call beef ribs. It's basically bones. Don't buy those. Don't waste your money. They're the cheap meat. They're great for dog food. You cook them. It's like eating jerky in between bones, and you're paying more for bones. Don't buy those. Just don't even be tempted. Just don't do it. Spend the extra money. These are kind of pricey. I think you'll find these running. I think we pay somewhere around $6 a pound for them. So you get what you pay for, and this is it. So first thing we want to do is we get these short plate ribs to smoke. I want to go ahead and take off some of this fat, and what's underneath some of this fat, you may be able to see it, you may not, and I'll show it to you later, is some elastin. And basically what this does is it kind of holds the muscles together, and it's super duper strong. Imagine it, it's like carbon fiber of the animal. It just holds things together and keeps the muscle groups together when it moves. But when you cook with this on, it doesn't allow my rub to get into it. It's kind of the elastin's non-transparent. It's like stuff doesn't go through it as well as if we remove it. Fat like this right here, everybody thinks that fat goes into this meat and flavors the meat. And sorry to be the Grinch, folks. That ain't true. All that fat does is it rolls off the meat. If it rolls off the meat, goes into your fire, goes into your pit, and just is discarded. Or it's still attached to the meat, and you bite into it, and yes, fat is flavor, but I think I like a little bit of rub more so than I like fat on this. So with that being said, let me show you guys how we trim this up. Then we're going to season it, and then last, we're going to throw it onto a smoker, let it sit overnight. So first thing I want to do is I just kind of want to feel this, and I can feel this is some nice hard fat and stuff, and I can see the elastin there. So I just want to kind of start and kind of go underneath this and start with a sharp knife going away from me. Do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes you will catch me doing this right here. It's not the best way to trim, trust me. It's not because I'm a professional. It's because I'm a professional, maybe because I've ruined so much meat in my lifetime. I can tell you what not to do. And maybe I'm a knife professional, is that I've cut myself accidentally so many times that, yeah, I can definitely tell you what not to do. Another pro tip that I'm gonna tell you guys, before I trim these beef ribs, I like to put them in the freezer for a bit, let them get kind of stiff. You know, you can kind of tell I'm doing like this, and it's not completely frozen, but it's really like at that middle point where is it frozen or if it's not. It's not going to affect anything, us cooking or anything, but boy, it makes trimming these things so much more easy. I can just slide that knife right underneath there and not have to worry about, you know, the meat flopping around or anything, and makes life a bit more easier. So maybe that's a pro tip for you guys. Just like I picked this up, one of the things from when we make sausage, which if you guys subscribe to this video, you'll probably see how to make sausage coming up, or maybe already see one on our YouTube channel up there. So you'll understand why it's important with sausage, why we want a cold product to be able to grind. Guess you can probably figure it out, but the video itself will basically show you why and explain why it's important to have a cold meat and a cold fat making sausage. So I'll just keep banging away on this. Notice I'm not making deep gouges or anything. I'm just kind of going in and sliding my knife underneath it. I'm going to trim this down as much as I feel comfortable. You know, sometimes you get these fat veins that go through this, that go way through the meat. And unfortunately, kind of like this right here, it may be one we end up leaving. But we're going to get it as close to the bone as I feel comfortable. Unlike a spare rib on a pork, on a pig, spare rib on a pig, a lot of times between the bones is where we find the meat. On this, the meat is typically above the bone. So we want to keep as much meat as we can. But like I said, I do want to try to get as much as that fat out of there, because it will not render down. It just won't do it. Even if as long as I'm gonna cook these. I mean, we're gonna end up cooking these in a smoker, 225 smoker. We'll end up cooking these for about 12 hours. So that's about as far down as I'm gonna go with that. That'll be all right. So there you go. That's pretty much pretty good trimmed beef rib, and you kind of tell I was like not going down any further because I am looking at the bone right here. I got right down to the bone with this, and you know, it's all about where you want to stop. You can leave it on if you want. I'm comfortable with this. So anyway, next step on this is I want to go ahead and put this into a pan. And right now I thought I heard about 15,000 people scream, "Jerry, wait a minute, you're supposed to take off this membrane on the back." Well, you can. There's just elastin right here on the back side of this this beef rib, and you can take it off if you'd like. Basically, I want to leave it on a beef rib. Why? Because some of you folks who have watched our pork videos know that I say take the elastin off. There's a difference. Pork ribs were going about 4 to maybe 5 hours on a grill. We can take them off. Beef ribs, we're going to go like 12, 15 hours on these things, low and slow. I want that elastin as a safety net. What does it do to the animal when the animal's alive? It helps keep the muscles and stuff together. It protects it, keeps them from separating. It's the same way when we're cooking. This will keep my bones together and keep them from separating and the bones falling out and the meat falling out, and you're left with a pile of taco meat instead of a rib. I leave it on. So hopefully all you folks out there that may have screamed, "Oh no, you hadn't taken the elastin off the back of it." Well, I mean to leave it on that. So let's talk about seasoning. With our beef program at the lab and my beef program on the Kansas City Barbecue Society trail competing, I use a 2-rub process on this. The 2 rubs that I use is our competition rub. This is the one that we've won a lot of money with over the years on the competition trail. This is kind of my drummer in the background, just kind of keeping a beat. The second rub that you will be using is our beef rub. And this beef rub is one that we formulated to use on our brisket. It translates great onto beef ribs. It also translates great onto steaks. and to hamburgers, which I will show you how. I do something special. Pay attention to the videos. They're coming out. Subscribe to this channel. I'm telling you, I do something special with this. I do something special with it for steaks and for hamburgers. But we're going to use this on this just like we do our brisket. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to put a base on this of our competition rub all-purpose seasoning. It will kind of be what I call a medium to heavy coat, meaning you can see the meat underneath this, but you see it's well covered. Next thing I want to do is I want to apply the beef rub. I use these, you can see me using these. You pick these up on Amazon or at restaurant stores. They are called Dread Shakers. They are wonderful. They help you disperse this rub out a lot easier than these bottles. That's a pro tip. I keep about 3 or 4 of these around all times for stuff. And boy, are they come in handy. I want to go ahead on this. I want to put a pretty heavy amount. This is going to be, you're like, wow, this is overkill. But what I'm going to tell you is I am, the next part, going to smoke this once I have this seasoned just like this, pretty heavily. I'm going to smoke this for about 12 to 15 hours. It's going to stay in there for quite a while at 225 degrees. You can cook this hot and fast, but the way that we do it at the lab, the way I do it at home, I do it in the smoker, let it take its time in there, just nice, gentle heat. And that seems to be the best way for us to make the beef product that I like, and hopefully you guys like at home. So what we want to do with this is I love to let this sit overnight. So I like this rub to sit. I like the salt and the sugar to go into the meat. I like some of the protein to come out. I like this to get gummy and set up. The refrigerator is a great place with air blowing around in it where this can happen. Typically, if I'm going to cook this the next day, I just go ahead and do this the night before, leave it in overnight, put it in the next morning early, so that way I have it ready for dinner or something like that. But you guys will have to vary your timeline according to how you guys want this done. So with that being said, go ahead and throw this in the refrigerator. Come back the next day. I'm going to put it into a smoker at 225. I'm going to smoke it 12, 15 hours or basically until it's done. It's barbecue, not science, remember. So anyway, let's go ahead and throw this into the refrigerator. All right, now to the next step, cooking this rack of beef ribs. You can kind of see our beef ribs have sweated. Basically, they sat inside for about an hour. You can start seeing the glistening on them. They're starting to tack up. You can see a little bit of the magic starting to work in there between the rub and the seasoning. So we want to go ahead and throw these into our smoker. Smoker's running about probably 225, 230. She'll settle in once we get some meat in here. Go ahead and put beautiful rack of short ribs in there. Sit back and let the smoker do its work. Probably about 5 hours. Should have a good product. All right, it's been about 8 hours. I'm gonna go back and check beef ribs. Checked them a little bit earlier and they weren't ready. So we're just letting them go, trying to make sure they're still tender. I've got a probe here. I'm not really checking the temperature as much as I just want this probe to go in really easily, but I want it to come out with just a little resistance to make sure there's still a little bit of moisture in there. So let's see what we got. Man, it smells good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Goes in and it feels almost like a little suction. You can kind of see the meat pull up. When it goes in really easily and it comes out like that, that's how I can tell that we're done. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get off these beef short ribs. I want to put them into a pan
and lightly cover them with foil and let them sit for just a little bit to rest. That way, when we go to cut these things, the juice doesn't run out of them and stays in them. So let's hurry up and get these off. Man, they look good.
Well, folks, it's been an hour. We got these beef ribs off a smoker. I've been sitting here just salivating, ready to like gnaw into one. That's like the toughest part. It's not so much as them sitting in the smoker and you're worrying about them being done. It's finally when you get them off and you're like, man, now it's time to cut these things. So without further ado, let's jump into them and see what we did, how we did. This is one of the things that I started cooking not that too long ago. It was one of the things that I'd had before, but never like this. Basically, what I akined it to the first time I had one of these is someone had said that this was basically a ribeye on a stick, and that's basically what we've got. Man, these things smell awesome. I mean, I'm just sitting here salivating right now, just ready to just nosh into one of them. They literally like just ready to fall off the bone. And as you can tell, it's getting kind of hard to speak back here. So without any more hesitation. Man, things are good. Just like the first time I had one. You get smoke, you got the pepper from the rub, you got the salt, you got a lot of this big collagen flavor on the inside, this jelly that's in there that holds this apart, or holds this together, keeps it from falling apart. And none of you can just see it, but I mean, it just pulls right off the bone. Succulent, tender, juicy. And that right there is the way we do beef ribs at the lab. Hopefully you guys can do them at home. So once again, I'm Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck Barbecue Lab, Keys Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina. Please like these videos. We're doing these for you guys. Subscribe to our channel so you guys can see more of what you saw here today in the future. Share this with your friends. It's very important we get out there and spread the word around about what we're doing. This is our way of kind of giving back. We can only get so many people in at the lab, but we can get you guys all over the place. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them right here down below, and we will get to them as soon as possible. I just appreciate sharing this time with you. I enjoy passing on some of my knowledge, and more importantly, try to tell you guys what not to do for my mistakes. I'm Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck Barbecue Lab here at the RBL Studios. My friend Mike Baker from Event Webcasting. Just want to tell you guys once again, be kind to one another, smile, pass that stuff around. It's the best thing in the world. We all need it. Love you.